Let us ponder, let us reflect, let us think and meditate on the spiritual part. So elusive, so difficult reality to grasp in words, to fix in any formula that would not be a limitation to the all expansive capacity of our spirit. Because when we speak about the spiritual path, we are speaking in a certain way on the search, inquiry, meditation, discovery, assumption of the spirit that we are, that is our inmost being, innermost being. But you know that by many reasons people has been led to believe only in body and mind, some even only on body and brain, others still believing in body and soul, giving a sense of a spiritual entity that can survive the dying of the body, but small number of persons are attracted and go in search of that triune being, body, soul or mind or psyche and spirit. Even if in most of the religions it is there, in some places or others, this reference to the body and the psyche and the pneuma or spirit. So the spiritual path is to live in life with a better awareness of the spirit and of the spiritual world and the spiritual order and the foundation of the spiritual world. That means the divine being who has emanated the worlds and beings of the cosmos. World that in Greek means a whole, ordinated, beautiful, with a pattern that is of the quality of the numinous, of the light, of beauty and of balance, of the opposites that are needed to the manifestation. So, the spiritual being in us is deep within ourselves, and in order to reach it, we have to create a mandala of our own beings and of the cosmos. And mandala is another word and concept so important, coming from Sanskrit and from Indian and Buddhist tradition, but that is present as a pattern, a geometrical pattern in most of all traditions and forms of art. The mandala show us and tell us that is circles, concentric circles, meaning that we are radiating energies and we are absorbing energies that enter and go out from us and that are more or less harmonious by their kind of qualities that impregnate our actions, our sentiments and feelings and our thoughts and our wishes, aspirations, and acts of will. So, when we have a life where the mandala principle is more alive, we can say, in a line with Carl Gustav Jung, that we are getting individuated, that we are assuming our spiritual or deep self, that is to be attained not only by this living harmonious life, but also by the meditation, the contemplation, from which practice and methods we can get glimpses of the spirit in us, of his existence as a small scintilla, a small spark, a small star. And that is the nucleus of our being. That is one of the most important works to be achieved on the life on this planet. To realize that we are spiritual beings with spiritual bodies and souls and bodies, physical bodies. But we are growing and developing a body of light, a spiritual body, with their senses, and with whom we shall live in the afterlife of this physical incarnation. This is one of the most important secrets of the path. When you don't find mention of that, and you don't find persons who are achieving that, don't stay in that groups, even if they speak too much on love, or in God, or in salvation, or in paradise, or in whatever words. The most important one, behind to live in a harmonious and ethical life, is indeed this realization of our own spiritual being, in order to change our identification from the physical body, the animal body that we are using, to our true self and this spiritual body. Call it algo Hades in the Greek tradition. And second point to be understood is that this path is not necessarily a path of submission to external principles, to external guides, to external religions, to external concepts of God. No. You are led astray by most of the groups and sects that are polluting and populating the world population. You have to get out of these universal churches and churches of the last days, or churches of the elected ones, or whatever, the groups that are following pseudo channelizations from higher beings, either from the inside of the art, either from the outside of the art. It's also all mockery, it's all fancy, it's all mystagogues. You have to go out, even if you feel well there, because it's natural, as you are in a group, protected by the group, you feel empowerment. And if there is prayers in loud voice, music, then your astral body feels well. Go out of your small house or bad ambience of work, and you enter in the church. Everyone is well dressed and singing and smiling, and you get uplift. And then you take whatever the leader or the priests or the pastors are giving to you in second and third hands, and mostly for keeping you in that group. And the great problem, because we can accept that for some people they were very bad in their houses or drinking too much or too much alone, it's good to be in a group singing and reading texts that have some kind of mention to the spiritual entities and paths, even if it's mostly used and abused and not read and given in a way of empowerment and self-awakening the person. So it is good for you on that level, or for the people take this kind of mirages, this kind of self-entertaining mystifications that give you some feelings of being bigger one. But most dangerous also is that when you will die, you will get stuck with this kind of beliefs and superstitions and dependencies, and you are not awakened in the spiritual world, and you will rest in the subtle levels for some time, or even for a long time. We have to awake mostly possible on this life. We have to awake our spiritual condition, our independence, our relation with the spiritual higher beings, but by true experience, by inner experience. And who are these entities on the path of realization unto God? Well, we have to mention the angels, your guardian angels, the archangel of your country, and the masters that you can enter in connection through your books or through your meeting of them, or even with your choosing and will to follow a path that is suitable for you and that you feel the signs that is working for you, and so you are with that master. Maybe Jesus or Buddha or Lao Tse or others more moderns like Sri Ramakrishna, or other old ones like Pythagoras, or other ones like Bo In Ra, or other ones like Kabir, or Guru Nanak, or Shuang Tse, or Milarepa, whatever. If they come to you, or with their symbols and teachings into your inner being, then you have a connection with them, and you should work and deepen their teachings and grow. Even knowing that the most second or third part of that path, so first realize your spirit, second attain in the inside of yourself by your meditation the connection with the angel or with the masters, and then the third level is the divine being, the divine, absolute and primordial being that is far behind all the conceptions of gods, and especially the conception of God of the books, revelated, so-called revelated religions of Judaism, Christianism and Islam, where the concept of God was so much dependent from a very limited, very narrow origin of Jehovah, a God of a group of people, of a nation, of a race, but too much barbaric, a conception completely not valuable in the universality of the planet or in the years after. Even Jesus, when he called God his Father, or we think that is that he has told us, because he could tell about God being father and mother, having the masculine and the feminine nature in himself. In order to create or to emanate to us, he must have that. And then Jesus would speak about that. Or would say that the Father, that he knows, and only he knows in the surroundings and at that time, is not the divine primordial being that is being, but is a kind of God or ruler or master for this planet and for these spiritual beings that we are. He was saying that that God, Father or Father Mother or higher entity from the primordial cosmos, is a being of love and not a jealous being, neither killing hundreds or thousands of enemies. That has given rise to all these absurdities that we have seen in history along the time, even until our times, when Blair, Bush, Aznar, they were thinking they were following the will of God when they were attacking Iraq or attacking Syria. They were doing some kind of work with relation with God. No, at all. God does not protect any attacking country. God does not work on this kind of level. No, this is a hallucination that has created so much wars and so much people dying. Surely it's good to have faith that some kind of spiritual protection is around us, and if we are carrying a small symbol of our faith, he can incorporate some energies and protect that. Surely that it can happen, but is a belittling of God, is diminishing, is making it like a woman to think that God is taking part in our battles. No, human beings have their free will, surely much influenced by all the surroundings, by their inner dispositions, but they have free will to do that, and it is not God that does or protects. No, it's a conjugation of mitigated free will. That is why Protestantism has been also a bad turn of the Christianity. When Martin Luther has created this, surely in a way of liberating the German religion from the oppression and special financial oppression of Roma, but he has also put the religion in a very low level of almost fanatism, believing that we are predestinated to be saved or to be condemned, and it is only by faith that we are saved. It's a completely crazy affirmation. No, faith is a part of a will to know something, but it's not a faith in a creed, in a stupid, many times stupid meaning small, parvus, small conceptions of God and of our obligations. Calvin has made some butchers to Miquel Servetos, a very deep humanist from Spain, from Catalonia, that was putting in cause the Trinity as we have taken on the Catholic Church and then in Protestant, and he was also speaking in different ways of the theology of German. We have also taken out of view the angels and have lost so much emotion and devotion. Behind that, they have lost also the confession that was also a way to release tensions and has created much repressions and hardness that we could see after in the 2 world wars of German and how they have dealt with the Jews and other minorities. So you have to take very much care with the conceptions of God and go behind this so limited conception that have arisen from Jehovah, a very small astral entity that was created. And even with Kabbalah developed on the Middle Age as attained some mystical aspects, it is all a recreation, mostly based on imagination, and they have not really grasped what is the spiritual world and what is the divine being. And that is so the third level is to open more our spiritual senses and see and understand the spiritual worlds, and also have this connection or relation with the living God within ourselves, not external creed, neither a dry, neither a so emotional creation as we see and in the evangelists, but an inner presence of light and love of this primordial being that within ourselves it manifests. This is an inner teaching that appears in many or in some religions, and some mystics of Christianity have attained that. The Hindus have spoken also of this Ishtadevata, is inner manifestation of divine. So we are giving this teaching in order that you raise your pattern of light and love and attain more the higher, fly with your spiritual body and your higher levels inside you of the Spirit of God within you. Om, 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 Om. You are that Tattvam Asi, Tattvam Asi. We are having also this painting of José Antunes, a nice painter and friend. And may you